Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Tempe, Arizona, Burbank, California, and we're going to be in Honolulu, January 11th. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. Dave Portnoy, who I love for his pizza reviews, is a Zionist. And that's very heartbreaking. A lot of people I like are Zionists. It's it's heartbreaking. It really is.
If you're programmed not to know what you don't know, how are they going to know? That is, first of all, Hezbollah, as soon as you say Hezbollah, that means it's justified in the minds of 70% of people.
Right.
I don't like Hezbollah, as far as I can tell. What are they? A political party? I don't know what they are, but I've always heard of them as bad terrorists. That's all I've ever heard of them as. I don't know anything about them. So how do we feel about Al-Qaeda relatives that got killed? I remember how I felt. Man, whatever. Don't be families with terrorists. So these people are still in this mindset. And now that we've got this Democrat awful nightmare wokey bullshit, the conservatives, they all yearned for the days when we knew who the bad guys were, and they wore hats that weren't like our hats, and Israel was the good guy. They yearned for those days, so they don't want to hear about the kid. Like, yeah, whatever, war sucks. Kid Rock talk. Nagasaki, Hiroshima. What are you gonna do? Nagasaki, Hiroshima. 70% of people are on that, and America programmed us that way.
And so here's the horrible reactions. And Dave Portnoy says, I can't wait to watch when this becomes a spy movie. This is the craziest counterterrorism plot I've ever heard. And he's referring to Israel blowing up pagers inside residences, inside hospitals, inside grocery stores, inside cafes.
Hey, maybe he can go get pizza with that girl whose face blew the fuck off, and he can make a little. There's a
9-year-old girl's face got blown off by a pager.
Why don't you look at her face and eat pizza?
He's calling this counterterrorism. So it's okay when Israel blows up little kids.
Of course, but nobody likes to blow up kids. They have to. It's Israel.
But Hamas, when they do it, it's justifying that you go do it. But when you
shouldn't even talk about it. Not only are they allowed to do that, you're wrong for talking about it. And you should have your phone hacked with high-end state actor hacking equipment.
So another hero falls. Dave Portnoy falls for the garbage Zionism propaganda. He's siding with the Nazis because that's what modern day Zionism is. Nazism. That's what it is, and it's all based on lies. It's all based on lies. If you know anything about it,
he doesn't.
But he doesn't know. Tell me what the Nakba was. Just that. All you have to do. Tell me what the Nakba was. What was the Balfour Declaration?
Oh, I'll tell you. I'll be Dave Portnoy and tell you. The Nakba was when Israel begged the Palestinians to live with them, but the Palestinians, we won't share with Jews. Yeah, that's the story. There's a movie that was made about it. I don't know if Charlton Heston was in it. It was like it came out right when around Israel founding. And that lie is from a movie that was put out. And my ex-girlfriend told me that story. Many people who I know to be good people told me that story because they think that's what the Nakba is. They think the Nakba is that.
Oh, my God.
They're not falling. It's not falling for it. It's the default thing you're told. So to learn about it, like I'm not like sorry I know about it, but it's traumatic to find out the truth. And a lot of these people don't want to deal with the truth. Much like my friend that texted me today wants to pretend that Trump talking about doggies and kitties is the worst thing because he's a rich guy. And they don't want to have a 9-year-old girl's blown off face by the good guys on their conscience. And they don't like you bringing it up.
They don't think that, they think the worst thing is that Trump talked about dogs and cats, and not the worst thing that we wrecked Haiti, occupied it, stole all their natural resources, screwed over their people, and made them desperate enough to move to America. That's not the horrible part. The horrible part is Trump said dogs and cats. I know. Yeah, but
not Hillary Bill trafficking children out of there. That's not the worst part.
That's not the worst part.
Conspiracy. I can't believe these people.
So Ian Carroll comes on underneath Dave Portnoy and says it was a terrorism plot, not a counterterrorism plot. This is terror. This is just straight up terrorism. This isn't counterterrorism. Setting off bombs in residential areas surrounded by civilians with no awareness of location is terrorism. So I know Dave Portnoy doesn't know this because he doesn't associate with anybody who's willing to tell him this. So I'm willing to tell him this in a video.
If you tell people, in person, I'll talk to people and I'll bring up minor things that are not, I don't even question Zionism or Israel's right to exist. To me, that's beside the point. The terrorist acts going on now, I'll bring up, and they go, they just want to change the subject. I don't even want to get into it.
So just
if they think you know something, they don't want to hear it.
They don't want to hear it. It's just like during COVID when I would talk to the top comedians in comedy in the United States, and they were just like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So what is terrorism? Setting off bombs in residential areas surrounded by civilians with no awareness of location is terrorism.
Sorry, mind control.
So this isn't counterterrorism. This is just straight up terrorism. Just so you know. Well, here's Glenn Greenwald. He's gonna break down some of the most horrific reactions to this.
Oh, far right lunatic Glenn Greenwald.
Watch this.
Some of the reactions from Israel's most fanatical supporters in the United States are so telling. Even as they were hearing that the casualty count was in the thousands, even as they were hearing that it injured or severely or killed young children, they couldn't hide their giddiness, their glee. They're so happy, especially over the psychosexual part of this attack, namely that, Hezbollah fighters had their testicles blown off. This was a major source of celebration from these kind of deranged supporters of Israel who often express their views in that manner. Here from Eric Reiner, who is a very wealthy hedge fund manager, although he is an American citizen, born in the United States. This is what he said, quote, "We were inside of Hanya's bedroom," referring to the killing of the Hamas leader in Israel, "and now we are inside of Nasrallah's pants," referring to the Hezbollah leader. So we were inside of his bedroom, and now we're inside his pants. Now, the disturbing psychosexual imagery of that is obvious. No one needs to point it out. But the question I had, and I asked, I haven't gotten an answer from him yet, is congratulations. Who is the we in these two sentences? You're talking about an American citizen who apparently considers the we, not his own country, not the American government, that he is subject to and supposed to be loyal to as a citizen. But apparently Israel is someone that he considers we. I think obviously there are a lot of American Jews and American evangelicals who think that same way, even though under this new law that the House passed, that the Senate is preparing to pass, one of the prohibited ideas that would be constituted as anti-Semitism under this new free speech attack to protect Israel, as we covered when the House passed it, is one of the ideas that is now off limits that would be instantly deemed anti-Semitic is to suggest that any American Jews have equal loyalty to or more loyalty to Israel than they do to the United States, even though so many of them say exactly that, admit that, make that so clear. Here is a official account of the Israeli war room, and they simply posted the phone emoji, obviously taunting and celebrating the people who they blew up today. Here's Ben Shapiro, speaking of American Jews who have at least as much loyalty, if not more so, to Israel. I'm going to say that while it's still legal. And he went on Twitter and said, quote, "Breaking, Hezbollah has been forced to rename itself Hezbollah after losing all of its balls." So you kind of see the nature of this attack and the reason why it's arousing so many of Israel's most fanatical supporters, even if you think it's a justified attack, knowing that there were so many civilians who were injured or killed should, in any decent person, preclude this kind of celebration. But these people are the opposite of decent. Speaking of whom, Konstantin Kizin, who is a British and Jewish supporter of Israel, to put that mildly, said, quote, "What use is 72 virgins when you have no balls?" The longtime American neocon Eli Lake, also a fanatical supporter of Israel, said, "Can't talk right now, my pager's blowing up." So they were having a lot of fun with this show of strength, and obviously they identify very much with Israel. Even though they're not Israeli citizens, nominally, they are citizens of the US or the UK. It's probably one of the most deranged people, but I don't even think he's more deranged. I think he just hides it less, is the actor Michael Rappaport, who has become one of the most obnoxious and vocal, attention-seeking supporters of Israel. And as the news proliferated today that there were thousands of casualties, including children killed, this is what he went onto his phone and then social media to do. Beep, beep. Beep, beep. Beep, beep. All right, these people are just deranged. They're degenerates to respond to violence, including the death of children, in that manner.
Well, ask any comedy club that had to work with Michael Rappaport, ask any of the employees how that was, and they would rather have their dicks blown off by a pager, I promise you. That's true. That's 100% true. I've repeatedly around the country, people are, this dick Michael Rappaport, nothing to do with Israel. He's just that much of a piece of shit.
So those are the fantastic reactions. And tell me Zionism isn't a mental illness. It's a mental illness that infects almost everyone in our government. Almost everyone in our government. Almost everyone in our media. Except for the people they fired at MSNBC. And even Mehdi Hassan turned into another shit-lib the other day. So he's doing the both sides thing. Because he wants his job back. That's right. I guess his YouTube show isn't taking off like he thought it would.
Oh, it turns out he should go back to his classic old roots, his acoustic stuff, where he was like the Kafirs and this far right radical Islamic thing. I bet now's probably a real good time to start it money wise.
And so what they're reacting to is an act of terrorism. They're all cheering it on. So that thing that Carl Jung has talked about is they're projecting the worst parts of themselves onto their enemy. That's how wars happen. We have a collective shadow self. That's how a collective society can project the worst parts of themselves onto another country. That's what they're doing to Russia. That's what they're doing with Iran. And that's what they're doing there. They're pretending that Hezbollah is reacting differently than they would react in that same situation. They're pretending that the Palestinians are reacting, that they would react differently than the Palestinians are reacting if someone took over their land and then occupied them. That's what that is. That's all percent. So, and the people who are most triggered are the people who have that the most in their shadow. Just like the people who hate Trump the most are the people who are most like Trump. They had to split that part of their personality off and put it in their unconscious because it bothers them. Keith Olbermann, Cenk Uygur, those types. They're the most like Donald Trump. They're the biggest liars. They're the most dishonest. They're the biggest smear merchants. They're the biggest sexist. Keith Olbermann can't even make a joke. He can't even try to hide his sexism. Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Tempe, Arizona, Burbank, California, and we're going to be in Honolulu, January 11th. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.